You know, people in the employment of the government, whose job it is to, quote, protect us, what a bunch of pukes. Like, oh yeah, I'm a police officer, I'm gonna protect people. And I'm a fireman, I'm gonna protect them too. And I'm a doctor, I'm gonna help keep them healthy and strong. What a great nation we have. All these good, well, I guess doctors don't work for the government, but they may as well. They're helping to facilitate the population reduction, very much so, at the behest of the people think there's a separation between government and business a lot of times, and there just isn't. When the government writes the rules for your business, whatever it may be, when they tell you, what's legal, what's not legal, what you can and can't do, based on their, scientific experts that are doing some checking and testing to make sure, things are safe and all that good stuff. Yeah, they're all compromised. The people that make those decisions about, what's a safe limit of, a toxin to be in water or food or whatever the case may be, or anything. They can just decide, oh, this is safe, and say, oh, this level's safe, and nobody questions it. The doctors, oh, well, it's safe. I'm a doctor. I went to school and memorized these things, so I'm smart. Now I know. Yeah, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. And then their ego kicks in. They spend all this money. They've got this degree. Now they got all this debt, but they're making decent money, and they can pay it off as long as they keep working. And then they, so don't ever acknowledge medical people. Don't ever acknowledge that you know what your work is doing to our nation. Because if you do, then you might have a conscience problem. If you've got all of your vaccines, you probably don't have a conscience anymore. That's what they're trying to get rid of, really. Rudolf Steiner, although I don't agree with everything he says, and he really pushes the fake globe thing as like anybody, even though he's from the turn of the century. But one thing he's got is the medical. He says that they're going to develop a vaccine, and they're working hard at it, that's going to separate the human's mind, their consciousness, from even having the notion of a soul. They want them to never ever even consider it. It's not going to even be talked about. It won't be a thing, because it's just going to be, it's going to be injected away. They've been working on it for a long time, and the regimen that they give you as you grow up, if you're honest with yourself and you acknowledge this treason that's going on right there, all over you all the time, yeah. If you're willing to acknowledge that, and that that's a bad thing, and that it's unhealthy, and it's being done intentionally, then where's the disconnect of, with the medical community? Do people believe that, well, sure, they'd spray the stuff on us out of airplanes that's, shown to be toxic and harmful to your health, but they wouldn't do anything else. They wouldn't lie about our regular standard medical care or the injections, and they wouldn't lie about the wars or the threat from Russia, or they wouldn't, if they'll do one evil, heinous thing, they'll do any evil, heinous thing. And if you can be, doused with neurotoxins all day and night, every day and night, till everyone in the country is sick, has a prescription and a diagnosis, and is on, on benefits, and they'll be quiet about it, they're not helping you. They're not helping anybody. They're making up stories and making up new names for new disorders to tell people why they're ill. if you haven't noticed, there's only a few types of advertisements that come on YouTube or on the television, really. There's the insurance companies, and there's some snack foods, of course, and there's insurance companies and health plans, basically. That's it. Your health plan, your prescription, your Medigap, your this, your that, your retirement thing, your funeral expenses, that's all there is insurance companies, medical, supposed health, and what? And then, a few various other things. But not commercials like they used to be. Apparently the only ones who can advertise anything are insurance companies. They're the only ones with the bucks to do some mass advertising anymore. And what's an insurance company? Insurance company is a bank. Okay, if we can come to the conclusion that the banksters are these occultist evil fucks, incanting demonic forces over their piles of money and gold and whatever, and then using their influence to poison the whole world, because if they're doing that, then why do we think that the things that they own are okay? Oh, the banksters are evil scumbags, the Cokes and the whatever, and the those Koch family and whoever else. So, who am I thinking of? Soprano, Sapporo, George. I don't know. Anyway, these banking elites are evil as hell. So why is it that their insurance companies are not just thrown in there? An insurance company does nothing except hand the money. Well, what they do is they try to deny claims. They try to deny claims any way they can until they have to actually give out any money for the agreements they made. And then they do. They're the go-between between the bank and you for payouts if you have a claim. And all they can do is give out money. They can't protect anything. They can't, stop any problem from happening. They can only provide money. They've got everybody so hung up on it that they think that, that it's been legislated into law. You have to carry this financial coverage in case of an accident. And I mean, accidents happen, and you'll have an accident probably whether you got insurance or not, if you're going to have one. And if you're not, you're not. But the insurance company is the bank. There's no difference between calling it a separate company and just calling it another branch of the bank, a division of the bank, because all they deal with is money and payouts, and their whole thing is to try not to pay out unless they have to. Duh, that's what an insurance company is all about. And who writes the rules for every business in this country? There are code writers and legend, for the laws and the bylaws and how you operate your business and what you're required to have. Insurance companies have destroyed our country. Basically, the reason nobody can really just go out and pull themselves up by their bootstraps anymore and try and start a business is because it's been legislated to the point that you cannot do it without the assistance of the credit system, and you have to jump through so many hoops that unless you're, independently wealthy and you're willing to, tank half of your money into your business, you're going to have to jump through hoops and get loans and run on the credit system. And the credit system is what got us to this shithole fucking condition. Credit is ridiculous. The reason everything's so expensive now is due to credit cards, because once people started getting credit cards and stopped really looking at how much things cost, and once people quit thinking in terms of how much money am I actually going to have in my hand, and what they think of now is how good is my credit? Oh, well, I can, spend this, whatever, I can keep my bills going as long as it's on the credit. But look at our nation, our national debt that is bullshit that we even, should consider it as something owed. But, it's on the ledger, right? The reason it's skyrocketing is because our government spends 1,000 times more than it brings in every minute of the day. It's spending 1,000 times more than it receives. And it could never pay that bill off. And because it could never pay that bill off, it could never be paid. So how is our country still operating? Well, the nice bankmen are so kind that they'll just keep extending credit forever, and they don't want anything in return except you just keep promising to pay that spiraling super high debt that you'll never be able to pay. You mathematically cannot pay, but they'll keep extending credit, what, forever, for nothing? What are they getting for this credit that we supposedly need? Because we could easily just print our own money and tell the rest of the world to F off, but we don't. Oh, we got to play by the rules of law, so we've got to follow the same rules as all the other countries in the world and participate in the world banking system and get our credits in place, and then we'll be okay as long as we keep borrowing massive amounts of money to do the zillion programs that we don't need and fund our empire all over the world. What I'm saying is, he who pays the piper picks the fucking tune. Who's paying the bill for the United States? The banksters are. Our shitbag government has grown to the point that it's beyond a behemoth monster. It's gigantically stupid. It just wastes money. It's a insider's game for people, in the right positions and in the know and with the right family connections to bilk money out of all the people all the time, as much as they want, forever. And honestly, when you really start looking into economics and the way things operate, isn't that fucking beautiful? Oh, my nose is itching already. When you really look into it, and you look into the fact that our government is spending thousands of times more than it could ever bring in, and it will never be able to pay the debts. What was my point? I mean, that can't be maintained. But I'm trying to remember what my damn point was. I looked at that big old fresh stripe coming, and just and that fresh stripe, and that fresh stripe, and that fresh stripe, and that fresh stripe. And, well, if people have children that are young, do they just not give 2.5 shits about their kids or themselves or their future? Because they don't have one. Your future is cancer. Your future is being diseased, crippled, and on assistance from the government, like everybody else in this country. The government's funding everything. This is a socialist freaking country, completely. It's not talked about, and it's kept under wraps. People just don't say it, and it's not true. Damn near everybody's got a food stamp card now. If they stopped honoring the food stamp cards, there would be cannibalism in our cities within a week, maybe 2. People would be starving to death within a week, though, if the food stamp cards just quit working, and there was no electronic payment, and there was no credit to be extended to so that people could go get things that they need, and the things they need are all provided by corporations now. So from China, really, probably too, So, all the small moms and pops and grassroots and local area businesses, the farmers especially, the farmers and ranchers and food providers that used to be local, used to be able to get every bit of food you would ever need in this town. And now there's hardly a farm in this town anymore. I mean, you get out of town a ways, and there's big corporate farms, but they're not going to, distribute their food to the people in the local community. They're going to keep on sending it out in diesel-powered trucks and putting it on ships and sending it to other places, so that you can have all the food you could need growing in your area, and you're still not going to get any of it because it's owned by a company, and they're not going to let you grow on their land. They're not going to let you live on their land. They're not going to give you any of the food unless you can go buy it. I mean, does all this stuff just blow beyond people's grasp? That it was a bad thing to let the subsidies to the milk industry in the 80s absolutely destroy the farming, or at least the dairy industry. Not that dairy is really that great for you, of course, but You know, you used to be able to get good milk here in this town at like 5 different dairies. You could personally go in with your jug and come out with milk that had cream in it. And it was good, and it was cheap. And you could get it local without having to have it come on a truck. And now you cannot do that at all. And even if there was a place that had the milk and was local and wasn't, you know, sending it all to some big corporate, bottling agency, well, what they would do is the government and all their wisdom would come through and tell you, oh, you need to pasteurize and irradiate all this, and somebody might get sick if a salmonella germ were to make it through, so we've got to destroy everything that made this milk healthy, and also you got to put some of these preservatives in there too, and don't forget the vitamin D. Yeah, the vitamin D is great. How can something that's produced in your body when the sun shines on you be considered a vitamin? And how can they put it in your milk and your dairy and whatever else before you get it? It's made inside your body. Vitamin D is made in your body. It cannot be put into your food supply. That's not a vitamin. That's a substance. You could say maybe it's an artificial hormone. It makes zero sense, the whole vitamin D thing. But anyway, I'm just sick of it now. I'm look at a big X. Oh, X marks the fucking spot. What a great nation we live in, right? What a great land. Oh boy, I'm sure glad our troops are over there fighting to protect this way of life, boy. Oh, I can't wait till my kids get cancer. That'll be great. Then they can start receiving benefits too. That's a win-win for America. What a great land we live in. Let's never question it.